Well, as I say, I'm now moving on to Michelle Dipp, who's a life science investor and was listed amongst Fortune's 40 under 40 in 2015. Where are you joining us from? Are you in Boston?
Hi there, I'm actually in New York.
New York, great. Well, thanks very much for joining us. I wanted to ask you about investment in life sciences, both before the pandemic and during the pandemic, and how those compare. Has this been a good pandemic for life sciences?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it really depends. I think for certain areas of life sciences, they were actually accelerated by the pandemic. And I think other areas, as you can imagine, have been hit very hard. So when you think about some of the broader macro themes, certainly that we think about when we invest, the spend in terms of what we see on research and development that pharmaceutical companies are spending. I mean, that's certainly, we expect to see those macro themes continue. So last year, pharma spent $180 billion on R&D. Historically, it grew at a 6 to 7% CAGR. It's projected to grow at a 3 to 4% CAGR. We expect that will continue. Pharma also outsources about 2/3 of that spend. So they outsource a lot of manufacturing, they outsource clinical trials, they use a lot of software now to improve efficiency. So, those macro themes we think stay intact. As it relates specifically to the pandemic, it really has accelerated, we think, two main themes. The first is technology. I mean, as you can imagine, the spotlight is absolutely on technology-enabled companies. So those companies that are already using automation, they're using robotics and software, those are the types of companies that have been able to withstand the pandemic. Some of those companies, not only have they not shut down during the pandemic, they're actually seeing even increased demand because some of their non-tech enabled counterparts have had to shut down. So that's been very, very, very interesting to watch, and they've benefited. The second type of company that's really benefited is, you've seen a theme which is very interesting, which is the regionalization of manufacturing and supply chain. So, and this is, specific to drugs I'm talking about. So those drugs which were manufactured, you heard me mention this 2/3 outsourcing that pharma and biotech use. Often that outsourcing took place in China and India. We're seeing a lot of that manufacturing move to the US and to the UK. And then in terms of supply chain, something called API, or active pharmaceutical ingredients, a lot of those are actually extracted from plants. And again, because of the pandemic, pharma is looking to solutions like synthetic biology to manufacture APIs, again, to be able to stabilize and control the supply chain.